Thursday, November 30th, 2017, 9 a.m. Call the roll, please.
Anderson.
Present.
Behrens.
Here.
Bills.
Present.
Signet.
Present.
Kerr.
Present. Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Sticknut, is there a second? Mr. Barron, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's approved. Public comments. Seeing none, we'll go to the committee chair reports. Mr. Bill.
Highway, we have, we've got to look at the reappointment of our county engineer. We've got a monthly claims. We're going to look at maybe some potential bridge engineering projects. That's about it right now. No snow. That's good.
Mr. Anderson, finance.
Probably review the quarterly reports that we were trying to get to do there. Is there anything you really needed?
No. Start audit.
Budget year.
Yeah.
Everything starts over again.
Good. Mr. Barron, management and judicial.
Management, we will have to talk about when we're going to have our January meeting, because that'll move off of New Year's Day. And then we will talk about light. There's going to be a proposal on changing out lights.
Good.
Stuff. Other than that, it should be basically normal stuff. Judicial is going to be normal.
Okay. Mr. Sticknut, tax.
The tax committee meeting, we'll be discussing the usual department head reports, and then we'll have some more discussion on the animal control affair.
Okay. Next is EMA, Mr. Stacy.
Busy month of paperwork, planning for the next coming year. Had my emergency operations plan review. Remember last month I submitted that to Illinois Emergency Management Agency. A couple coordinators came up and reviewed it with me with a couple recommended changes, but overall it's going to be formally approved. So that went well. Went to an IEMA Region 7 meeting on Monday, and at that meeting National Weather Service gave us an outlook for the winter. While their predictions are vague, it's a very high-level overcast view. The idea is that we're going to probably see temperatures all over the place this winter. We're going to have some nice sunny days where it's above freezing, then we're going to have plenty of days that are below freezing. There is a increased chance of above average precipitation for the winter. That does not mean more snow, it just means more precipitation. And that's pretty much what they had to say, so I don't know, it's going to be some good luck. Freezing rain maybe, which is funner. I have set up a 2-day course that I'll host in my Emergency Operations Center next door called HC for Homeland Security Exercise and Evaluation Program. It's a course that teaches you how to build an exercise program, a training and exercise program according to FEMA guidelines. And I just thought a number of different community partners would find that advantageous. So if anybody wants to take that, it's definitely open to all. I can help you get registered. I registered to host a Weather Spotter training course on the 7th of February. I had to bump up my timeline. I'd like to have that in the middle of March, but wasn't available. So that's when we'll be doing that. And on the 9th of November, I've been asked to sit on not a committee, but to comment on Web EOC. IEMA is planning on distributing the software package to all accredited county EMAs. It is basically a virtual emergency operations center software system that they use and they want to distribute out. But for that, I've been asked to, myself and one other county emergency management agency, Region 7, has been asked to advise before they issue it out. So I had to go to a meeting in Springfield for that. I'll have to go again to Springfield to settle in the 13th. You'll notice some claims from Area Wide. I had some work done by them, which makes my office more secure on the network and makes it so that way our computers can communicate easily without having to email each other. You can just grab something from another computer over the network within my office. And that's what I have.
Okay, is there any questions? Thanks, Eric. Next will be the Illinois Bicentennial Initiatives update. Mr. Bill.
Well, we're moving along on it right now to address the state initiative here, and on December the 4th, which is Monday, we will do a bicentennial flag raising. It looks like we're going to be able to get it done at our courthouse here, and it will be at noon sharp. We should have the local, let's see, the high school marching band people show up briefly to give us a little bit of music, and we'll have some Illinois National Guard and some retired military, maybe our flag here, the way it's looking right now. I believe we have retired Judge Bob Donnell to read the proclamation that needs to be read during the flag movement, and with backup help of Mr. Shane Coltra. After that, we'll have, actually there's a class at the Crescent City Grade School that will do the state song for us, a grade school. State song singing. And that's what we got basically in mind here on this flag raising. We had a little get-together back in, November the 16th. At Crescent City, I will say I was very impressed with people around the Crescent area. It was very welcome. Let's use our community center to get together and try to get some folks together and help organize this. And there's been a few key people that's been very active on helping me, along with Belial here in particular, to keep this moving along. And we'll make this happen, which is a basic start of a year-long birthday celebration for the state of Illinois bicentennial.
So the county board is not going to be directly involved in these kinds of things?
No, this is going to be strictly, we're organizing a bicentennial committee to work with it, try to keep it nonpartisan, non-government, because it requires a lot of volunteers, and it's tough to get people involved when they think it's retired, tied to a party or a particular bunch of folks deal with government.
Okay.
So, but at the initial point, the flag raising, and invite everybody to attend this, because this is very important, I believe, for maybe some long-term benefits to folks of Iroquois County.
Okay. Well, I'm sure everybody appreciates your leadership in this whole thing, and look forward to the coming year. Okay. Next, we got an update on the arbitrator ruling on the telecommuter contract. Very simply, that update is nothing new has come about over the past month. We're still in the same state of limbo. Now we have a policy regarding distribution of emails and correspondence. Pass these around. I think some of this came about as a result of some email FOIA requests that were generated here not too long ago, and some of the questions that arose about retention of emails and so forth. Basically what we're looking at here would be on the back side of this page. Down where it says a responsible user of the ICB network. would be there would be understands the ICB network acceptable use policy before logging on. And going forward down through those things that it says that the user understands and so forth. So these are the things that would be incorporated in here. Every employee is supposed to sign this on the first day of employment.
They do. Anyone who has a county email or access to a county computer currently signs this. There were only 2 lines that were changed that I ran by Jim Devine. And under a responsible user will keep email correspondence in compliance with Public Records Act 50 ILCS 205-7. And then the second paragraph of a responsible user of the ICB network understands the Public Records Act to ensure compliance before utilizing the ICB network. We would add those 2 lines. It would just be the county network users that sign this. So right now, it is not signed by any county board members, and we ran that by Jim Devine, who agrees it's really geared towards, if you look at all the things we will or won't do, it's about personal use of county computers on our time, and etc., so that it's really applicable to the county full-time employees that use the county computers. So we would just add those 2 lines to it.
I think this is something that probably wouldn't hurt if this committee approves this, and then also the IT committee would do the same for further credence to it.
Entertain a motion?
That's it.
Motion to approve our acceptable computer use policy. With the few changes that's highlighted on the back page, last paragraph.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Barron, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next is the holiday and meeting schedule for fiscal year 2018. This is back on the agenda again this month. At the last meeting, we approved the schedule. When it was presented to the full board, it was separated out for separate consideration. A motion was made to change the time of the meeting. No motion was made to approve the rest of the schedule. So it's back here for our review. We have an opportunity to discuss the entire matter and act accordingly.
How does the county statutes figure in here when the statute specifically says the meetings are to be at 9? How do we interpret that?
Mr. Devine?
Well, you can interpret the action last month as changing or amending that ordinance to change it from 9:05 to 6 p.m. So, my take on this, John, is, the Open Meetings Act requires public bodies to approve meeting schedules a year in advance, which we do, and we approve these calendars. And this particular calendar was approved to begin in January of 2018. So you can either do it on a fiscal year or a calendar year. And the board chose last month to make it effective in the calendar year, starting January of 2018. But in my opinion, that doesn't mean that in December, if the majority of the board wants to change this calendar, however they see fit, by the majority vote, they can. There's mean, there's last opportunity to change what you did, what was done last month, if the board so chooses. So, you know, we're in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, if you so choose to do it that way. But you can't do it after January. I mean, once you make that, once January comes and we're in that schedule, then it can't be changed. It's fixed for that next year. But, you know, it hasn't come to bear yet, so there's one more month to change this if the board so chooses. But do it, if we're going to change it from a different time, let's do it by specifically referencing that part of the ordinance from 9:05 to 6 or whatever time it's going to be changed.
Well, it looks like the only thing that's changed here is the time of a given meeting, 1 day a month. And, you know, it does affect a lot of people though. To me, give or take. You know, and actually I would prefer next week doing it earlier than 9 a.m., but that's never been very popular either. But, you know, since there's a lot of other folks that have to deal with it, no matter if we're talking, a lot of people sitting in this room right now in particular, they have to deal with this every month, and whatever they want to do, I'll go with it. Because they're employees, they're our working partners, and so we got to work together.
Mr. Chair. One of the reasons presented at the last meeting was that it would allow more people who work during the day to run for county board. I have approached several people, a couple of women, urging them to run for county board. The typical response I get is, "What are you, nuts? I'm not going to put myself through what goes on that county board."
I guess following through on what Russell suggested, maybe it would be good if the department heads in the room might weigh in on their thoughts. Mrs. Spencer?
Could you consider a compromise to make it 4 or 5 p.m. instead of 6?
How is it going to affect all your scheduling of employees and everything? Is that, I mean, is that going to be a...
Or effect anything? But it would be, I mean, it would be nice if we didn't have to have, I mean, we don't all live in Watsika. You know, it would be nice to not have a big chunk of time between when our workday normally ends and then when this meeting begins. So if it were 5, most people would be off work or, you know, close enough that they'd be able to make it for most of the meeting. I mean, you know, our meetings last a couple hours, a couple and a half hours usually. And so if they could start at 5, it would be very helpful, I think, to us, or more reasonable. Not in favor of night meetings at all. I've never made that, you know, I've always been pretty clear about how I feel about the night meetings, but I would be more happy to compromise if it were not such a gap. I mean, some of us have long ways to drive too, once the meetings are over. You know, it's different when you have like a village meeting and it's like Watsika and everybody comes to the meeting and everybody's from Watsika. So when you leave the meeting at 9 o'clock, you're home, you're already home. Iroquois County is huge, you know. People, if they are going to come, would be coming from all over the place, coming from Milks Grove or Loda or Beaverville, the far corners of the county. Be quite late for them to be driving. Winter months, it's going to be bad weather, it's going to be dark. I don't think you're going to see an increase in participation.
because like, I think Russ has mentioned before, that I truly believe participation at the county board meeting is issue-driven. We have tried the experiment before, and the first few months there were extra people here. We all know why the extra people were here. There was a big issue with the union, and quite frankly, some people were asked to come to show that there was going to be huge participation in the evening, and I expect that to happen. If, you know, you have the meetings at night, January, February, March, going to be some big crowds here because they've been asked to come to show how much more beneficial and open to the public night meetings are. I'm the mother of two daughters, and they wouldn't run for county board. They have a life at night. They have children. They have a family. They don't want to, you know, be here at night. So I also don't buy into the younger people are going to step up to the plate, because younger people are extremely busy. That's my thoughts. Somebody else please talk.
You have some thoughts, Mindy?
It's not as important that I'm here as it is for Lisa. You know, it's really going to affect Lisa in her office, you know, quite a bit. You know, I do have a daughter in sports. More than likely, if she has games at night, that's where I'm going to be. Family first.
Ms. Shippert?
I've gone on record at least, I know this is at least the third time saying that if my daughter plays in the pep band for all the basketball games, if there's a basketball game scheduled at Watsika High School, that's where I'm going to be. My daughter's my priority. I think that it discourages people from going to their local school events in the evening if they're encouraged to come to, you know, a night county meeting to show that more people will come, you know, and like I agree with Lisa. I think the first few months you're going to see a big influx because people are going to be asking people to come to show support. I think it'll drop off after that. I was here when you had night meetings, you know, and the people come when there's a topic that they're interested in. Otherwise, they can watch it on YouTube. So, you know, I will come if I'm available, but if my child has something going on, that I'm going to go to the high school.
Mr. Stacy?
As I've said before, the nature of my position is to be available at all and every time. Every month I go to night meetings now for other organizations, so going to the county board at night will not bother me. Going to the county board at 5 or 6, 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. does not bother me. It's just another thing I wedge into my schedule.
Joel?
It really makes no difference to me. Now, if it was a committee meetings, it might be a little bit more because oftentimes we have to go pull files and have some of my staff pull things if there's questions. But as far as the whole county board, all those questions are usually answered by the time we get to committee. So I wouldn't have to pull anything. So whatever you guys want to do.
Mr. Bargrady, do you have any thoughts?
I think there's an inconsistency myself. The bulk of the work that gets done is in committee meetings. That's where the discussions take place. That's where the real meat of things happens. By the time it gets to county board meeting, it's usually just a report on the reports of the committees. And it seems inconsistent to me to say that it's going to really make more people participate in county government by having the county board meeting at night when all the other meetings will still be at an unreachable time. If that's the case, that 9 o'clock is unreachable for some people, it's still going to, because they won't be able to make it to committee meetings. It's confusing, I guess, to say it that way. To me, it wouldn't make any difference. I've lived in Monsignor. People that live, well, you, John, you all live far away. Pretty much
us.
My only other thought, John, would be, you know, I can see both sides of it. There's no one right answer perhaps, but, you know, there are elderly people, and I'm not picking on you, but but there are, I mean, I'm thinking of my dad and my mom, you know, when he was alive and he can't drive at night. My mom's the same way, so if they had an issue, you know, that they wanted to be at a meeting, even though he lived in town, he won't come. So your elderly people aren't going to be coming at night because, you know, the older we get, you know, I'm not as good of a driver now, and I'm 56, so it's getting more difficult to drive at night than it has been. It's only going to get worse. So there is that consideration for those who do want to be here, who don't drive well at night and have to worry about hitting deer and other furry creatures going home and getting here. So, I mean, it's not all about the young people. They're important, but it's also trying to be fair and balanced to those who can't drive well at night.
Actually, driving at nighttime, especially in the wintertime, is dangerous for anybody, no matter your age. I think if you go through the records of people that have accidents with deer and that kind of thing, there's no age situation there. In fact, last night when I was coming home from Watsika at about 7 o'clock, I came within inches of hitting a deer over near Onarga. And so, I mean, that's just an example of what that type of situation provides for people, no matter how far they live. I'm sure, like for Kyle, you know, going up to Beaverville, you can encounter a deer more likely in the evening than you would in the daytime. And no matter your age, it's hard to see them. Your headlights don't give you anywhere near the light that you have in the daytime. So they're right by the edge of the road and jump out in front of you, your goose is cooked. So, Mr. Stickner.
I agree very much so with Mr. Baragry. Things are usually done before the meeting. And how many people think it's enjoyable to sit through 2 hours of a boring county board meeting? If I weren't on the board, I wouldn't be sitting here listening to that. The only other thing I might suggest as a compromise is to maybe try night meetings in June, July, and August when there are more daylight hours, and then see what the results might be from participation.
Mr. Barnes.
I think I've said before, you know, it's a representative government, and if we're doing our jobs in our districts, the people are bringing their concerns to us, and we bring them to here, so that they don't have to come. I mean, I talk to people every day, and, you know, if we're doing our jobs, we're bringing the concerns of the people here, so that they don't take time out of their schedule. They can spend 5 minutes with us saying, hey, this is what we need, or what we want, and then they go on their business, instead of coming and spending hours here, sitting through a meeting, you know. So, you know, no matter when it is, if we're not doing our job, we're not doing our job. We should be bringing the concerns of the people here.
I guess one thing I would add to that too, that my experiences have been, I frequently encounter people, and I say frequently, not every day, but at least several times a week, I have conversations with people who indicate to me that they are watching the videotapes of the meetings. And there has been an effort to improve the quality, the audio quality of those meetings, and I think that, again, is serving as a real benefit to the people that want to watch the videos on YouTube. So I guess we can kick this thing around for a long time. There's a lot of different opinions on the matter, just like there is on every matter. I guess it's up to the committee what they want to do. One thing we know we want to do is approve the meeting schedule today, so it can go to the board. The main question is not centered on any of the dates, it seems to be on the time, so. I ask for your pleasure. What do you want to do?
Has there been an influx and people wanting to run for the county board, turning in petitions yet?
There is not.
Nope, I mean, knowing that last month they voted on the night meetings, I didn't know if that had swayed anything,
No, it has
and they could
not.
wait till the last day, Monday's the last day, I get it.
Sure.
Yep.
I guess I'd like a little input from people, from the committee members. What's your honest opinion about trying it in the summertime? Do you think it's worthwhile? No?
Mr. Bills?
I would rather do it in the middle of the winter time if I was gonna do it, because we have a lazy sun. It disappears at 3:30, 4 o'clock here in about 3-4 weeks, and doesn't want to come up in the morning, so you're kind of limited what you can do, because if you're a type of person that lives outside, you really like daylight, and you need to get things done in the daylight, and that's why I would rather, if I was going to do it, I would rather do it.
I see
And
your
like
point.
call.
I see your point.
Yeah.
I think for people that have children or grandchildren that are participating in school activities, there's really no time of the year that makes a whole lot different. You know, there's sports activities in the summertime the same as there is in the wintertime. And as Russell's pointing out, in the summertime, people are probably out doing yard work and other chores as well.
Yeah, my main point was just to keep the driving at night to a minimum.
I understand.
I understand where that's at actually, but fortunately, I don't have to deal with that at this point.
Mrs. Crowe, you have something?
I would just observe that frankly, it's one night out of the month, and there isn't a person in this room that isn't gonna make a night event that's unrelated to county board, whether it's a Christmas party or a night music program at the school, if they want to be there, regardless of deer or maybe the weather would come into play. But if any of us in this room have some place that we want to go at night during the winter, we're all going to be there.
I don't know that I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
I know a lot of people that say they wanted to go to something, but then they just, when the time came, they just didn't go. Because it was late or, whatever. They just...
But that has to do with the individuals. I'm the same way. Last night I could have gone to a church program. I chose to stay home because I was lazy and I didn't want to get dressed. So that doesn't have to do with deer or weather.
No, but that's the nature of people. When they get home and get settled in, they don't want to leave home.
Well, and that goes to Lisa's point of moving it to 5 p.m.
And can I say one last thing? Obviously the board's fairly evenly divided on this issue, and that's why I thought that maybe the 5 p.m. would be a compromise that the people that would like to have it in the evening could get on board with, and would be helpful. Still open, still be more accessible to the public. According to them.
Sure. That's a good point, but I would still think we should try it for like 3 months and see what happens before we change the whole entire year.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to
Is that possible to do, or when, Mr. Devine?
We did it before.
When we set the calendar, then it's set, or if we try for 3 months and then the rest are the other?
As long as it's set, as long as you vote on it and it's set for that.
Okay, but then if
If you don't like it,
people
it's done.
it's done.
Yes.
So if the 3 months seem to work, then we can't change it, it goes back.
I think the Open Meetings Act is very clear. You need to
steady schedule for the entire year.
But we did do before where we did for a 3-month period, have them, in the evening, but the rest of the year was scheduled for the 9 a.m. and then we thought that we would review it then at the end of the year to see what everybody wanted to do. And at that time, people were basically in agreement that it didn't substantially increase the participation in the board meetings. So that's what happened back then.
And if you're gonna try, if that's an option, you're gonna probably should try a month or two in the winter and then a month in the summer, right, to get a better sample size.
Good point.
I guess my concern is if it goes at this time of day and this time of day, people won't remember which month is what, and, the board members will be there, but if it would, in effect, block out the public because they wouldn't be able to keep track of when's what.
Well, as Lisa pointed out, it seems like there's a fairly even or division of opinion amongst the board members. And I think a lot of it on both sides of the case has to do with people that are thinking about their own needs or their own situations as much as anything else. But I do say that I think one of the things that we should be looking at very seriously is the people, the elected officials and other employees who are affected by this also. I think we owe some measure of respect to them. I think we owe some measure of consideration to their situation and their needs for their time. Obviously, I don't think any of us here know why the meetings originally were set at 9 o'clock in the morning many years ago. Maybe you do, Russell.
No, I was waiting for my time.
But it's been in the county, going back through the records. I guess the records were searched all the way back to the late 1970s, somewhere in there. And the meetings have always been at 9 o'clock in the morning. They've always been on the second Tuesday of the month, except for one time in 1982 when there was a meeting in June that was held on a Monday. Otherwise, they've always been on the second Tuesday of the month every year. So here we're not considering changing the day of the month. We're talking about the time of the meeting.
Mr. Sheriff, at last month's county board meeting, when the time was voted to be changed to 6 p.m., it was a minority of the board members who were able to pass that. I would really like to have the majority of the board members decide this instead of just a minority.
Is that a motion?
I'm not sure how to phrase it yet.
He basically called a spade a spade. The other half figured out that they had the votes last month, that the full board got it done.
There was a quorum.
It's back on the agenda, because we're pretty sure we can get it flipped over. We mean the ones that are here.
It's on the agenda because
And
there was a glitch.
technical, there's always technicalities. This board is virtually incapable of compromising with each other at this point. I would say, pick a few months, try it, maybe at some point, stop being all the BS and get something accomplished. This is just going to further divide this board. It's a small issue, but it's going to keep going.
Well, Mr. Devine says once we set the time, let's not wait for the whole year.
I don't know if you can set that.
You could make it
Two
like
months.
5 p.m. for 6 months and 9 a.m. for 6 months. That divides it, clearly in half, or 6 p.m. for 6 months and 9 a.m. for 6 months. Give it an equal try. And you have to set that, it can't be changed. You have to set it for the whole for the whole year, say January through whatever's 6th, June, thank you, could be left at 9 and then, or vice versa, just a thought.
That way nobody's happy, everybody's mad.
That's-
I'll be mad 6 months when I gotta come tonight, and Jess will be mad 6 months when I gotta come to her day.
And I realize, Donna, it is just one day a month. We'll be here, I'll be here, if it's at midnight, I'll be here, I have to be here, it's my job. But I do know that there has been some trial of it, and how the turnout was in the trial of it.
Mr. Hasbargen?
I agree with the 5 PM compromise might be a good idea. I agree with that. I think it could be talked about.
Okay.
Well, let me throw a motion out there.
Okay.
Let's do 5 PM meetings for the 2018 calendar year. January, February, March. October, November, and December. Make those 5 PM meetings. So we can start the year with it, finish the year with it, because you know what, when we finish the year with it, we'll know what they want to do the following year. Motion?
That's your motion?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Is that motion acceptable, Mr. Devine?
As long as it's seconded, yeah.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure we can split the time.
You can, as long as it's fixed for the year.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Last.
Anderson?
Yes.
Barons?
Yes.
Bills?
Yes.
Signat?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Hi. Wasn't me. Nothing.
Okay, so we'll start with 5 o'clock in January, February, and March. We'll go to 9 o'clock the following 6 months, October, November, and December. We'll be back at 5 o'clock. Everybody understands what was passed?
5 o'clock.
Okay. Revolving loan fund is next on the agenda. We're supposed to have a resolution.
John, we did. I asked that this be put on the agenda, and after I asked that it be put on the agenda, found out that it was passed in September. And so I've read through it, and unless the board, has any changes that they want to make to the resolution and the program strategies that was passed back in September, that's my error in asking that it be put on the agenda.
I guess the question go ahead, Ken.
It wasn't totally Jim's error, because I requested that he do that. My question right now is, this would be similar to the appointment of drainage commissioners and that sort of thing. Is there a different procedure? What was done is our program strategies document specifically listed county board chairman, state's attorney, Ida, executive director, and 2 bankers. I spoke to bankers, 2 of them were interested in helping. I submitted those names to John, to you, John. You mentioned them at 2 committee meetings that I recall, maybe more. Then they were put on the agenda as appointments, and that was taken to task. I mean, they said that was not the correct way to do it. I agree with Jim. The resolution, you can look through a lot of resolutions. They don't specify that finite detail as to who's going to appoint who and that type of thing. If anything, that to me should be in the program strategies document, where it specified who the members of the committee were going to be. That should be in that document. And I have said from the beginning that the program strategies document is a work in process, and it was even listed in the resolution that document can be changed by a simple vote of the board, which would mean that making a motion in a committee to make that change, when the minutes from that committee are approved at the board, that change would be made. I'm confused on why it wasn't just passed through at the last board meeting, actually, but after speaking with Jim here this morning, the resolution is not the place that should happen. If it should happen in the program strategies document. My question is that and drainage commissioners is the only one I can think of as an example. What is the procedure when someone is appointed to be as a drainage commissioner? What procedure is used there? Where is that written?
It is in statute, and it goes through the circuit clerk's office first, and then comes to my office just to present it to. I don't think it statutorily has to come to the county clerk's office, but we have just historically presented the drainage district appointments to the county board. But it does have to begin, by statute, it begins at the circuit clerk's office first. And the county board, I don't know if it's chairman with advice and consent, or if it's full county board. Honestly, I'm sorry, I don't know that answer, if that's one of your questions.
I think that the full county board approves virtually anything that comes up in minutes, because they have the ability and the right to pull it out for separate consideration. So there's nothing that gets slid through there, really, if anybody's paying attention. I guess I'm still confused as to where, why, how they want us to specify this.
I think the question that arose at the last month had to do with the procedure as to how that appointment would be made, who had the authority to make that appointment. That was apparently not clearly spelled out, and that was the reason those appointments were withdrawn.
And Jim and I, in chatting about it, came up with, I guess, just a statement that says that the appointments would be recommended by the county board chairman, approved by the full county board. But that's kind of what was happening anyway. I chatted with the people, they agreed that they would help out with the committee. I gave those names to you, John. You presented them, I think, at this meeting, policy and procedure. I think maybe it was brought up again at finance. Nothing was said during any of those committee meetings until it got to the final board for the vote, and then it was decided that it was done incorrectly. Trying to figure out where that guideline was that we broke. It just seems like that's the way it's always been done. That maybe it's not the legal statement that needs to be made. It's always been that way, because I know we argue with that a lot. But
well, as far as I'm concerned, we just need clarification and legal guidance on what to do and how to do it. I mean, we need to get this program going. We're just wasting a lot of time.
Yes, we can take these little nitpicky things and go on
to the point of being ridiculous almost.
You have a suggestion?
Yeah, my suggestion is we leave it as is, but let's just have the stated viewpoint that you make the appointments subject to county board approval, just like you would any other appointments. I mean, the paragraph at issue here is what we call paragraph H, or subsection H, requirements for managing the RLF. And number 2 says members shall be appointed as needed to the loan review committee. And then it says what the committee is consisted of. So, the key sentence here is members shall be appointed as needed to the loan review committee. Chairman makes the appointment, gets voted on en masse by the county board, can be pulled out for separate consideration if they so choose, if it's something objectionable, and we move on. I don't think I need to. You want me to rewrite it to say members shall be appointed by the chairman subject to the approval of the county board? We can do that. If you want me to make it that much clearer, I don't think I have to, but if you want it that way, I'll do it. And my assumption in writing this was that. It gets appointed by the county board chairman, subject to approval by the full county board in the appointment section at the end of the agenda that we always have.
And I believe if you want that change to be made, it should be, probably not could, but should be made in the program strategies document, which can be amended by just a nomination, a motion and second and vote. Then if the county board approves that change, it could probably come from any committee, but more likely it should come from policy and procedure than any other. So if you want to change that program strategies to the statement Jim just made, appointed by the county board chairman, approved by the full board, into that document, I'm not the state's attorney, you can correct me, but I think a motion would take care of that.
It's easily done.
Well, as I said before, I'm interested in getting this program moving, and I think we need to do that today if it's at all possible, so. I'm comfortable with what the state's attorney has said, is that leaving it the way it is. If we want to change it further down the road, we always have that opportunity. But that's my feeling about it. I'd be interested in the feeling of the other members of the committee.
So he can make the appointment and we vote on that meeting and stuff.
Yeah, John or the chairman, whoever the chairman is, makes that appointment. It appears, on the agenda where other appointments are made, right, Lisa? And it's out there. So if anybody sees that and they have an objection to those appointments, county board member can point that out, separate it, vote on it, change it.
And I would suggest that Mr. Scher make the appointments so that they're ready for the full board meeting.
Motion?
I'll make it a motion.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Next is a discussion regarding establishing a committee to investigate allegations of verbal abuse or harassment. This is something that came out of the last county board meeting. It was requested by Mr. Asbargen, and we put it on the agenda today. I think my comment on it is I believe we already have policies and procedures in place investigating all of these things in regards to any employees of the county. I'm not sure that we need something like this, but I'd be interested in what the committee has to say.
Committee, establish a committee. I think if anything comes to anybody around here, it needs to go to the state's attorney's office, unless it's a complaint coming from the state's attorney's office, and it probably should come at the county board chairman.
We should appoint a special prosecutor, a special counsel for it.
We have policies and procedures in place for the county employees, and we've had that experience where there has been a complaint or grievance filed over vacation policies that came before this committee, and I think that's the right way to handle those kinds of things. If there's anything that goes beyond that, I would say probably what you're suggesting would be the right way to do it, Russell. I don't know if there's anything in writing on it anywhere.
If there's nothing on it.
That's too sure. At the last tax committee meeting during the public comment session, it was very emphatically pointed out and read what the procedures were to handle this kind of thing. So I think it's in place already.
Anybody else have any thoughts? Mr. Hasbro.
Just observing how the so-called investigation was handled by you and Stickman, that was all wrong. There's nothing in place. And I don't know how you can say it is.
There's nothing in place that has anything to do with how we handle contractors.
You treated her two different ways, as a contractor and as an at-will. Just the same way you did the 911. You pick information from two separate places and you try to combine them. You can't do that, John.
You're wrong, Mr. Hasbro.
No, I'm not.
you're completely wrong. There's nothing in place regarding any policies or procedures or directions of how we handle situations with contractors.
You didn't treat her as a contractor. You treated her as an at-will, trying to cut her hours back. You tried to treat her two different ways. You can't do that.
I haven't done anything like that, Mr. Hasbargen.
Well, that's not what Yusuf said.
He said I did that?
He said you agreed to it, yes.
No, I didn't.
I'd hate to have you two investigate anything for me, I'll tell you that right up front. I wouldn't be very, very happy about it.
Is there any need for any further discussion on the subject? Seeing nothing, we'll move on to appointments. We'll be making the appointments to the revolving loan fund, loan review committee. That'll be on the agenda for the board meeting. And the other appointments will be as what normally comes through the county clerk's office. Correspondence. This is a letter that I need back. It's a hearing that will be held, I believe, on February 7th in the courthouse regarding the dissolution of the Lotus Sanitary District. For information. I plan to attend that hearing, and I guess that's a possibility. I may be subpoenaed as a witness. This letter here is something I'll turn over to the tax committee from an outfit that's offering to assistance in helping to rewrite or write animal control policies. Not sure if that's something we want to do either, but that's what that is.
Does the state not have guidelines already in place?
Yeah.
They apparently want to change it.
They're just, there's always people want to come and help spend your money. Basically what that is. This letter here is something I'm not really entirely familiar with, or maybe somebody that knows something about it. Was it Government Insurance Exchange?
Yeah.
That's our insurance.
And they have a ballot in there for electing people.
That's our liability insurance company. And you are, with our policy, you should talk to Randy Schultz about it. I'm sorry, I didn't see it, or I would have done some research ahead of it, but you should talk to Randy Schultz about that.
Can we bring
You are
that up to
always,
finance?
Kyle, weren't you on that, weren't you, what do I want to say, invited to attend their meetings? GI, you're a voting member as a part of your renewal of the policy, the county board chairman is. It's always been that way.
Okay, we'll look into it further. And the last, this one here is from UCCI. Some more membership meetings that happened a week ago or 10 days ago. I always come late. And we have a reminder from the U.S. Census Bureau encouraging us to participate in MUCA. We've pretty well decided we're not going to do. That's the correspondence.
Does that mean we pick up 500 people per year? Get back over 30,000?
No, We're supposed to,
It's very
bear the expense to go out. We're supposed to bear the expense to go out and canvass the county, I guess, to update the records before the census is actually taken.
Yeah, I think that's what,
The local update or something of that sort. And I've talked with Lisa about it, and it's something that there's no funding for it, and we don't have the money to do it, and it doesn't really accomplish anything, so. But we get these reminders. Okay, claims. Everybody has a list of the claims in front of them. Is there any questions about the claims? Area-wide, what Eric talked about, that he had some work done.
Motion approved. Claim.
Second? Second, call the roll, please.
Anderson,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Signat,
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Old business.
I'll step back to that motion, we was talking about the meeting time schedule, meeting dates and time schedule. The 5 o'clock was highlighted for the 6 months, the first 3 months and the last 3 months out here. Do we highlight the 9 a.m. for the other 6 months?
I believe so.
We want to make sure that is there, because I think that's what the intent of.
That was my understanding.
Okay, just want to make sure, because I know sometimes if we don't dot the I.
And we're approving all the rest of the dates.
Right, right, yeah, the holidays and the second Tuesday of the month.
Okay, is there any old business this morning? Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Anderson. Darren seconds, all in favor, aye. Opposed?